Welcome to another episode of Financial Pennies JA. I'm Julio Dawkins.
And I'm Jade Harrison.
We are proud to present our very first guest. Everybody bringing the pageantry, the pom-poms, everything. Welcome, Chantal Simpson, attorney at law.
Thank you, Julio.
How did you become an attorney as well as an entrepreneur in that mix?
I would consider myself an entrepreneur.
More like a professional. Yeah.
Yeah, you are an entrepreneur professional. Yeah, we
Really?
can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason I wouldn't consider myself an entrepreneur is because I actually work for a company. I'm in-house counsel for a company right now.
Right.
But I started my career at the company's office of Jamaica as a legal officer there. So I was there for 2 years, and then I was in the commercial department of a law firm for 3 years. And now, as I said, I'm in-house counsel for a publicly listed company.
For our viewers out there,
Mm-hmm.
what advice would you give to young and startup business entrepreneurs out there?
Well, technically, I can't give advice on this forum, and that's not what I am doing.
Okay.
But generally,
Fair enough.
generally, what I would say to persons is, people see legal and accounting. I would say accounting. I have to throw it in there, but legal services as a luxury, something that you seek to get when your business is at a stage where you think you can afford it.
Or in trouble.
Right, exactly. Or, maybe you feel like I'm a big company now, so I can have a lawyer now. But the reality is that at that point, it's probably too late. You would have probably made a lot of mistakes along the way and probably, breached a lot of laws. Well, if not even breaching any laws or anything, maybe you would have not set up your company in the way that's best for you or set up your business in the most efficient manner.
Right.
So by the time you get an attorney to come in, then that attorney has to fix all the problems that would have been created, and it's actually more expensive on the back end.
Better for you though.
Not necessarily.
You
I
earn
mean,
more money.
but that's not what my interest is. My interest is really, the reason I am a commercial lawyer, I do want to see businesses thrive. I
Okay.
want to see our economy do well, and we'll do well when we have thriving businesses,
Okay.
right? And a lot of companies, they can't get funding and investors because when the investors look at their books or their corporate structure, etc., it's just not put together in a way that allows them to make investments and allow the businesses to grow. So I always say, engage an attorney at the beginning. When you're ready to start your business, speak to an attorney at that point, get the advice, get them to understand exactly what it is that you're doing so that they can guide you through the process and be there with you through the entire process so that you're more likely to get investors. It's better for you to grow when you have that proper corporate structure.
What kind of money that costs though? Because when they do the real figures, people want to know like what will it cost us? Just to start a business, you don't have a lot of money.
Well, it
Just
depends.
a ballpark.
For the lawyer, for a lawyer,
Yeah, to initially.
I cannot tell you what a lawyer's fees are because there's nothing that guides that. There are no rules that say this is what an attorney must
You're not a
charge.
cheap lawyer. You're not, not a real question. I'm just ask so
If
everybody
you're
can know.
looking for cheap services, cheap don't always mean good, right?
Fair
You
enough.
need to look for valuable advice. Look for people who can properly advise you and know and understand the value of what it is that you're getting. Most lawyers, including myself, but most lawyers are willing to assist and understand the stage of your business because they want to grow with your business. So at this point, I mean, the advice that you would need and the services that you would need would probably come at a lower cost because of the stage that you're at, right? And then as you
trying to work with you.
exactly,
best, at
a
the
lot of
beginning.
lawyers now, especially because there's so many of us, a lot of lawyers are willing to come to different agreements with you to kind of ensure that you're getting service at a cost that you can
honestly,
afford.
I never consider that. I just think it's just too expensive.
Yeah, and the answer, you think,
So it's
boy,
good that you
it's
said
too
that. It's really
expensive
good.
to talk to a
Folks hear
lawyer.
that?
It's not, I mean, expensive is dependent on the person, but to me, it's far more expensive to have to fix the problems that you create. Trust me, it can cost you millions to fix those problems.
So Chantal, you're telling us now that engage a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
You may have a session with you, probably an hour or 2 hours. Sit down with you, guide you. You pay for that session of consultation.
Right.
It wouldn't be anything in depth where they're going to have to charge you to do a letter or whatever. It's just a simple consultation,
Right.
and you can talk
Yeah,
to that
because
lawyer.
one time I try to pay for a letter and 10 grand, them tell me for the letter.
Just for the letter.
It might not be a lot to you because of value, I know. But people 10 grand at the time did
At the time.
did hot. So, you know what I say? But I understand the point. You
Yeah,
need the
yeah,
value
yeah,
early in the business.
And I mean, also, again, see legal services just as the same way. I know people are, I don't do this and I need to do more of it. People bargain and people negotiate and people shop around. there is not only one lawyer out there. There's
Alright,
so many
alright.
lawyers, as I said, that
So
are
you find
willing
a
to
lawyer,
work.
like seriously, no joke.
Yeah.
Like when I was looking for, I tried to ask people, is there like a resource or a register or something like
That you can go to.
Well,
and
you can
look up.
actually contact the Jamaica Bar Association.
Mhm.
They actually maintain a list of lawyers who are members of the association, and if you want, they will actually provide you with the contact information. Jamaica
Jam-
Bar Association.
Jamaica Bars, and they have a website.
They have a
and,
website.
Very
okay.
important stuff.
But also, I mean,
Yeah,
Yellow
guys.
Pages. Don't forget you read Yellow Pages. If you literally type or I think it's lawyers or attorney, one of the categories, you'll definitely see the list of lawyers there.
Great
Or
stuff.
if you type it in, I've typed in, I mean, just for research purposes, I've typed in commercial lawyers, I've typed in IT lawyers in Jamaica, and the list does come up online.
Okay.
So,
Alright, that
yeah.
sounds good.
So, what would you say to individuals out there who decide to start a business and they're just operating? They say, boy, goods coming in, goods coming out, and they haven't registered a business.
Why?
What benefits or what safeguards?
Or why? Just why should they register?
Why should they register
So
their
the
business?
primary reason is that the law actually says you are supposed to, if you're doing it in a name other than your true name. So you're Jade Harrison and you're distributing things and you're doing it in your name. It's just Jade. People know they come to Jade
Yeah.
Harrison and
That's
and you know that's fine,
Right.
right? However, if you're saying, well, Jade's distribution, you can't, it won't be limited, but Jade's distribution services,
Right.
that has to be registered. Under the Registration of Business Names Act, if you're doing business in a name other than your true
Yeah, that-
name,
Gem. That's a gem right there, folks. All of
you're
you
supposed to
guys.
register. So within 14 days. And I mean, the cost is the good thing about registering a business name is a relatively cheap cost, right? So it's, I think, $2,500 at the company's office.
Jamaican.
Yeah, Jamaican dollar.
Guys, come on, you can register. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just renew every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
That's
Not
it.
bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So that's one of the main reasons to register. And then the other thing is you're not supposed to be doing business in a name that is, too similar to another name. So when you go into the company's office to actually register your business name, they'll do a search. They'll do a name search. So you may be out there operating with this name when somebody has this exact name already.
Yeah.
What you're doing is not only probably infringing on their IP, but you're probably giving up goodwill because people will, if they see them, they think it's you, and they probably take some of your customers.
So there are
and that's
many
like
reasons in that.
Yeah. So it actually helps
so
you.
IP is intellectual property.
Property.
Yeah,
Oh,
just,
sorry.
just,
Yes,
sure.
Yeah.
All right. So that's great news because people know that they can't just go out there and use a name because they want to.
Yeah.
They feel they had a dream, and in that dream, my
Or
friend.
they might lose their goodwill.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So how long does that process take though?
So I think right now it's about 3 to 5 days, but company's office offers an expedited service, so you pay, I think it's an extra $3,000, but don't quote me on that, for next day registration, and I think they sometimes offer same day expedition where they can accommodate it.
So, all right. So, question. For example, because I was pushing online business. Suppose you're doing a podcast. Let's just say Financial Fitness JA. Like you're not making any money, but you're doing it because you love it, and it eventually becomes something where you possibly can make some money from. At what point do you say, all right, I need to register this?
So what I would say is, if your plans, right? So you're not at the point where you're a business. It's a podcast. You're not making any money from it,
I
right?
just love it.
But you know that you intend to. What I would say is, because the Companies Office actually under the Companies Act, you can actually register, and the Business Registration Act, you can actually reserve a name. So you know that I'm going to start doing a business soon. You can reserve that name. You go to the company's office, you do your name search, and then you pay $3,000 and you reserve it for 90 days. After 90 days has expired, you're not ready to register your business yet, you can extend the registration for another 90 days.
Wow.
Right? So that's what I would say always, if you have a name in mind, because the reality is someone might come in the time that you're there because you put your name out there and it's in their minds.
Wow.
And that is when they go and they register that name and, this name sounds good. This is what I want to
By
do.
the time you don't have graphics and everything,
Yeah.
invest a certain amount of money, folks.
I know this is a little segue, but can you somewhat educate our viewers on the possibility? Because we spoke about intellectual property, but what's the difference between a trademark or even logo? What's the difference there?
So a logo is actually, so the logo is whatever you've drawn up or your graphic designer or whoever has drawn up for you. It's a trademark when you've registered it as as the mark that identifies your brand. So anything that anyone can use to know that this is you, that's registerable as a trademark, and it has to be distinctive, right? Because that's the way that people are going to know that it's you. So you go to JIPO and you submit your application to register Jamaica Intellectual Property Office. Thank you for that.
and it's located at Jamaica, right?
At Jamaica, right? And you get that registered. You get the trademark registered, and I think it's valid for about 10 years initially, and then you keep policing the mark. But you actually have to make sure you use the mark, ensure that people know and identify. And it doesn't only have to be a logo. You can actually register the name. You can, so financial fitness could be a trademarkable thing if it's distinctive enough to identify exactly what you do only. Because I mean, like stuff like KFC and Island Grill, those are the words themselves are trademarks.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Is it the words? Can I say KFC? But is it the way how I draw the words?
It's both. It's both. So you can register it in different ways. So you can register what they call a word mark. So that's the words. Right. That's the mark. But then the representation of the mark, again, that's also another mark. Yeah.
So like Coca-Cola, then that would be.
So I mean, the word itself, those words are, nobody else can go and try to use those words in that industry, in that category, right? But at the same time, also the representation of it. If someone tries to not use the words Coca-Cola, but use the same type of design for in different words, then that's protectable because they would have trademarked that design.
Guys.
Yo, James.
Guys.
Another
She's
one.
dropping it.
Major
Another one.
Yo, she on fire, bro. She on fire.